Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I would like to begin by returning to yesterday's events, to the festive events connected with the Day of National Unity. You know that this holiday is connected with the pivotal events of the early 17th century, with the victory over intervention, with the time of troubles. This was a true national feat, and it was accomplished by representatives of different estates, different nationalities, in the name of our common fatherland. At the same time, those distant events are also a lesson for all of us, and for all times. An admonition to descendants not to bring disputes to discord that destroys the country, not to permit shakiness in the state structure, the foundations of the state, and of course to protect social and national unity, our values, and our common foundations. This, without exaggeration, is the most important thing, the main pillar of our sovereignty. Today, a vivid example of genuine inter-ethnic unity, combat brotherhood, is shown by our heroes, soldiers and officers in the course of the special military operation. Together they go into righteous battle for Russia. They prove in combat that we are all one people. Dear colleagues, our meeting is dedicated to the strategy of state-national policy, the result of its implementation since 2012, as well as the preparation of a new edition of this document for the coming 10 years. I note that over the past years, in line with the strategy, a whole series of significant organizational and management decisions have been adopted. Essentially, a holistic system of national policy was built, updated for current challenges and tasks. I want to thank all of you for the work carried out. The Presidential Council, colleagues from government bodies and public organizations, spiritual shepherds, traditional religious associations, and our scientific community. The created legal framework, institutions, mechanisms that have shown their effectiveness must, of course, continue to be refined, including the system for monitoring early warning of risks of conflict situations in the sphere of inter-ethnic and inter-religious relations. Overall in the country, sociology records stable and positive trends, thank God, on these issues. But this is precisely overall. It is important to react instantly to every local incident if such incidents arise. And such things happen. Life is complex and diverse. It is necessary to suppress provocations, attempts to incite discord between people, taking into account that the provocateurs themselves, as a rule, sit abroad, are supervised, financed and directed by foreign intelligence services. The goal is obvious: to shake our unity. Our opponents use any occasions and pretexts for this, both everyday incidents and the migration factor, to destabilize the situation, inflame, provoke conflicts. They also bet on radical groupings, that is, on openly terrorist methods. Beyond Russia's borders, more and more supposedly international organizations are being created, all sorts of pseudo-national centers. But in reality, these are simply tools of information warfare against us. Now, well, you know about this. Now they increasingly talk about some kind of decolonization of Russia, but essentially the dismemberment of the Russian Federation and inflicting on us all the same notorious strategic defeat. They even thought up a special term, some kind of post-Russia, that is, territories deprived of sovereignty, torn into small fragments subordinate to someone in the West. We have heard about this more than once. New versions appear, but essentially nothing changes. And nevertheless, despite the fact that nothing has worked out for them, not only over decades, but over centuries, one could say, nevertheless this all continues, and threats remain for us. And we must certainly take this into account. Act firmly, consistently, and systematically, adequately respond to risks and challenges. All this should be reflected in the new edition of the National Policy Strategy, to which I would like to draw special attention, dear colleagues. First, as I already said, the ideology of aggressive russophobia is directed against all peoples of our country, because without the Russian people, without the Russian ethnos, without this factor, there is not and cannot be Russia itself. Therefore, it is precisely russophobia in general that is at the center of our opponent's attention. Russian distinctiveness, tradition, culture, the state-forming language of our people needs the most careful attitude and protection. Their unifying role is a guarantee of the unity of our multinational fatherland. Of course, the culture, customs, languages of each people of our enormous country are also important and necessary for us. Such diversity, caring for its preservation, this is the foundation of foundations of Russia's national policy. I will add that the Russian calendar will now have two new holidays, namely, the Day of Indigenous Small-Numbered Peoples and the Day of Languages of the Peoples of the Russian Federation. They will be celebrated annually on April 30th and September 8th, respectively. Second, one of the most important indicators of the effectiveness of national policy should be the opinion of our citizens. That is, how people themselves assess the state of inter-ethnic relations in their region, city, village. This is what's important, what they think about the quality of work of government bodies in such a sensitive area. And of course, in order to get a reliable picture, to see the real dynamics of processes, including on such an issue as strengthening all Russian identity, precise instruments are needed. In this regard, with the participation of leading scientists and experts, I ask you to study the experience of sociological research in this sphere. Propose options for their improvement with the application of advanced scientific approaches and developments. Third, overall, the system of indicators of effectiveness of the new strategy is very important for quality management and timely decisions. Verified and timely decisions. I agree with colleagues that the list of such indicators in the sphere of national policy should be unified, comprehensive, and objective, what is called cross-cutting, for assessing the work of authorized government bodies at all levels. And I ask the government, together with the Council and the regions, to work through this issue additionally. Fourth, the strategy proposes to strengthen the regional component. This is the right step for our large federal country. At the same time, the heads of subjects must have all the tools for work locally, and the federal center, naturally, must continue to ensure a unified strategic line. And fifth, today, coordination on issues of inter-ethnic relations is assigned to an interdepartmental working group. Considering the significance of this sphere, I propose to raise its status to a governmental commission. Let's move on to the agenda. Thank you both for the work, for your very important direction, and for your proposal.
This is a creative cluster, yes? We were just in such a hurry we interrupted each other.
Thank you for the proposal. But I will build on what you are saying. This concerns information work, close to what both Igor Vyacheslavovich and Tatiana Alexeyevna were talking about, and they began with fakes, information issues, planted stories, and so on. This is a very important direction to counteract such attempts to influence us, our society. We must understand, this is a weapon that Russia's opponents use against us and are perfecting it. I must report to you that in our hands are copies, simply copies of documents of Western countries' intelligence services and foreign centers working for their money, in which it is directly stated about the task of destabilizing Russia from within by introducing division into our society, provoking conflicts on inter-ethnic and religious grounds. We all must know this, and citizens must know this. Moreover, citizens of different nationalities. Those who go down this path, essentially, it's clear that life is complex and diverse, throws many tasks at us, and conflicts can arise and do arise, both on everyday grounds and in any way. Many conflicts sometimes even have a natural character, but we have no right, especially today, to inflate any, even seemingly minor contradictions. On the contrary, I want to thank you for making your significant contribution to resolving any contradictions, any conflicts on national or religious grounds. There are no small tasks here and no small conflicts. Attention must be paid to everything. React quickly, professionally, delicately, with love and respect for the interests of all people who are involved in one situation or another, and with the presence of goodwill, which always exists, and with respect for people, any compromise can always be achieved. Well, and of course, it is necessary to approach the resolution of issues that we are now, and you professionally, year after year, deal with, to approach very seriously, responsibly, and at a good, necessary level for our country. These issues are always important for states, and there are quite a few with a multinational composition of population. But for us, this is especially important. Tatiana Alexeyevna said we have 190, 194 ethnic groups. But this is not an exact figure. In reality, the figure 196 sounds and another one. But still, this is many, many national countries. But there aren't really that many like Russia. You understand, this is still a unique country for us, and therefore we must do everything to strengthen our community, our unity, as a colleague said, civic and national, and therefore state. All Russian identity, and on this basis, strengthen our state, strengthen Russian identity, and strengthen the Russian people. And this is our task. I want to thank you for what was done during the work on implementing the previous strategy that is ending its functioning, and I ask you to prepare as quickly as possible a draft decree on the new national policy strategy for 1926-1936. Thank you very much. I hope for the continuation of our joint work.